I was really worried I was gonna f that one up because I really only had one chance to do that. Let's talk about noise real quick. So, noise was this genre invented by this guy in the 30s named Luigi, and he was a for the not so great regime at the time. So let's look past that. He helped make the genre, but other people definitely did it better, and rightfully so. Let's not support guys like that. I mean, he's been dead for like 80 years, but you know what I mean, right? Anyway, trying something new, just kind of going off the cuff here. I've got I'm like 2.5 beers in. I'm just kind of talking, you know. I did have a script, but I threw it all out. And now we're here. Well, I didn't throw it all out, but it's like I basically did. So, as we know, noise is a genre defined by its use of unconventional sounds. You know, you've got like power electronics that will use fucking whatever. They do whatever they want, really. And honestly, I think there's something to be said about that. I think that's cool. To find that emotion you're trying to convey through ordinary sounds or like sounds of life. I mean, that the Luigi dude, he was doing that too. It was recording cars and shit. Sounds of the street. Right. Anyway, so I haven't really been in too much of the scene of noise. Only like maybe the past year and a half, maybe 2 years. I started with, now you're gonna have to hear me out because technically this isn't noise, but I started with like Throbbing Gristle, and then I started with Aphex Twin, who, I mean, some of his more ambient stuff could probably be considered general noise, but that's more industrial still. And then it just kind of went from there. Oh, from there I went into like a really weird period where I started going into like, there was industrial, and then I had a little bit of a neo-folk period for a second there. I mean, it happens, I guess. Well, like, noise to me has always been weird. From an outsider's perspective, it's like, why would you really go and sit down and listen to something like this? And I had struggled with that question for a long time. I had a friend who listened to noise, but I didn't really get it. Like, he would send me songs by like Merzbow and shit. And like, he'd been doing this for a couple of years, like upwards of 5. I listen and be like, why am I listening to this? Why are you showing me this? I didn't get it. But I think overall noise can mean different things for different people. I can't speak for my friend, but me personally, I know when I listen to noise, I get a kind of comfort. And I would assume that's how it is for most. Usually I'll listen to it and I'll throw something on when I'm like really, really, really fuck-ass mad and I can't properly deal with my emotions. It's almost like I almost use it like a key to meditate almost. That sounds a little strange, I think, but it's like when everything in life is really shitty and it really, really sucks, you kind of just want to drown it all out in a way that I don't think most other music can do. I used to just sit down and listen to, like, if I was upset, I would listen to like Death Grips. If I was like really angry, I would listen to Death Grips. And I would pump that shit max volume, and I'd sit there in my corner in my bed like aura farming the whole time. But there was one day, I can't for the life of me remember what made me so fuck ass mad, but I sat down and I was like, you know what? I need to hear something really, really, really loud. I need something to just like take what I'm feeling and beat the shit out of it until I start to feel better. So I ended up putting on what was it? I Lead You to Glorious Times by Merzbow. I ended up putting that on. And I remember I gave that a listen. I'm sitting there, and it's like the chaos of the outside world all around you and on your mind, it's upsetting you. And yeah, I think, me personally, it does a good job of beating the shit out of these horrible feelings, like into submission, I guess. And I could see for like artists and stuff that this could be a pretty good genre to deal with certain emotions as well. Like I had for this video, actually, I had listened to, oh god, what's the name? Man, I'm gonna have to look through my YouTube history and shit to find this thing, and I really didn't want to see the fucking thumbnail for this shit at 1 in the morning. How Welcome Is Death to I, Who Have Nothing More to Do Than Die by Condom. And Condom, clam chowder condom. And I gave it a listen. I've listened to similar stuff in power electronics and noise like that. Oh shit. For stuff like this, I don't really look up what people think about an album, but I did hear about this one. So I looked it up, listened to it, and at first I thought, wow, this is very deep. And I thought for a time that it was deep. Looking back on it, I'm not sure. I have really mixed feelings on it because I think, well, I guess for those of you who don't know, it is an album produced by Condom, come to the Condom. In 2016, I believe his last album before that was 2001 or something like that. He had been active since like the mid to late 80s, I believe. But he had come back 2016. I believe the story surrounding it was his grandmother or mother was dying and basically in a hospice situation. And he had recorded this album and produced this album, at least from my interpretation, under some kind of guise of coping. Now, I think everybody copes in different ways, but I feel like from his previous discography, it felt clear that at least most of this was kind of for shocks. I mean, the album cover is her, like, dead body. It's like halfway through the album. It's the track's called Chocolates, I think. You can hear her death rattle. He like just straight up recorded the death rattle. I mean, I guess I don't know for sure it's the death rattle, but it was definitely at least like close to it. You gotta be some kind of messed up. You're going through some kind of shit to have your mom or grandma in the hospital dying, and you hold the mic up. Yo, Granny, I need you I need you to spit some bars for me real quick. And once again, it's one of those situations. It's like, yeah, people cope, but it just feels maybe a little bit too much. Especially considering this guy's like earlier works in his discography were also very shocking and in your face about like racial stuff and violence, and I don't know. It still does feel on brand. I had it in the script and I was like, oh, this feels like a very. I had it in the script that this feels very, very flowery, very, very mature. In retrospect, I don't. Mature is not the word. This is kind of a common occurrence in a lot of noise. You're going to find a lot of shock groups and shock artists who do similar things. White House has a pretty infamous example of this. Marginally, I would argue marginally worse than what was done with Condom's 2016 album. I don't believe they're still making music. I think it's been a while since they've produced anything. But that is in part because one of their members was fucking Peter Sotos, who I have seen people argue for on the internet as being a transgressive icon, and those who don't get it are just pussies or whatever. But this once again opens the line of where can we possibly draw the line in something like this if we are constantly pushing back the line out of a need to. It almost feels like, just because. At what point does it just become senseless? Or does it feel to become senseless? I see a lot of people online defending Sotos. I don't agree. Even as someone who does listen to White House, a lot of his individual projects are just shit. Very exploitative, and I do think, there needs to be a bigger conversation opened on doing. I do think there needs to be a bigger conversation opened on what we're doing here with like noise groups and stuff. Because if everybody's like just making noise of really like horrendous shit, and I mean like straight up just like illegal shit, it can't be good, right? Like, I feel like overall that's just gonna, I don't know, I guess if you yourself are getting into noise, I think a good place to start might be oddly, I think if you yourself are getting into noise just as a genre and as a whole, I think you should probably start somewhere maybe like Merzbow. There are other projects that have even less of a structure than Merzbow would. And if you're not ready for that, I think they can really fucking sucker punch you. But it's a good place to start. I think I would suggest starting with Promotion Man and seeing, maybe if you yourself can stand that song. Not that I think there's anything really wrong with that song. I actually love that song. But if you yourself feel comfortable listening to that kind of music, then you can go deeper into other songs with less structure and less of a basis in what you personally perceive as music. I think if you're starting off, you should maybe start slowly, like dipping your toes in, musical tootsies. Starting off with songs that still have a bit more structure and going down until the absolute like destruction to where essentially just becomes static. I mean, if you ever listen to I think it's Pink Noise. Damn, I moved the whole. I moved the whole goddamn phone. Anyway, if you ever listened to Pink Noise by Junko and Maten, that's essentially where that can get you. Just a lot of screaming and static and noise. I love it. I do really like it. It does help me feel better in a lot of situations. Or I mean, you could even start with like early Current 93. Hold on, I'm trying to flex. So even like early Current 93, I would suggest Dog's Blood Rising. Very good. Very good. It still kind of leans more into that industrial. But you're gonna find a lot of freaky shit like falling back in fields of canola or Ryu no Terasu. Are really good. They're really good. You're gonna find this as the album cover, by the way. I just kind of wanted to flex that, but it is good for recommendation. It hit my throat. I'm probably gonna regret editing this because I am a little teensy little bit inebriated, but I did that specifically so I feel like I could maybe talk off the top of my head a little bit better. I feel like it worked, but I guess we'll see. Thank you guys. I appreciate your support. I will see you next week, hopefully with something cool. Just a little something. I don't know. I wanted to try this improv kind of style. And have a good one. Make sure to subscribe because, listen, if as many people subscribe as my total view count, I would be halfway there to partnership program, and that would be pretty cool. Just saying. I mean, you could be an early investor. I mean, shit, that's kind of cool, right? Right? Think about it.